Hey everyone, you've landed on this video because you probably know that you have an anxious attachment style and it's impacting you in your relationships and you're tired of feeling that way. And you've come to this realization that you want to finally feel like you matter, that you're wanted, that you're cared for in your relationship. Hi, I'm Taran Walia. I'm a couples therapist, and today I want to talk to you about how I shifted my anxious attachment style to a secure attachment and how I've helped hundreds of women in the past 5 years do the same. Because the truth is that it's totally possible to shift it and that you deserve it. So in this video, I'll tell you exact ways you can start to do the same. I just want to say that this advice is like rooted in years of experience. So if you follow the exact steps I share in this video, there should be no way that why you can't also start to experience more fulfillment in your relationships. So let's get into it. Step one is, this might sound really ironic and obvious, but it's to find a partner who is not an avoidant. Truthfully, a lot of clients who have anxious attachment style are asking me to change their anxious attachment style. But underneath that, whenever we dig into it, they're asking for me to help them not get triggered when someone's treating them like they don't matter. 9 out of 10, when I hear things that are triggering them, what those situations are, they make complete sense to me. And their response is completely normal to be triggered. And as a trauma therapist, it's like someone saying to me, I don't want to run when there's a cheetah behind me running after me. Reality is that flee response is exactly what you need. And so to train your nervous system to not flee when the cheetah is coming after you would not be good, right? And so if you're constantly finding yourself in an environment where you're constantly getting triggered, where love is taken away from you, where someone's not interested in connecting, well, you're not going to be successful at making those changes. I'm not saying the problem is always the other person who's the avoidant, but if they're constantly triggering you with their unavailability, then it can be really hard to move out of that anxiousness that you feel. So the important thing here is to get to know those avoidant cues. You already know them because you're experiencing them a lot, but it's actually about witnessing the pattern. An avoidant person might say they're not looking for a relationship. They might create a lot of space in the beginning or in the middle or throughout the relationship. So for example, I used to find myself before I got married, before I found my partner, choosing partners who didn't want to get serious and didn't want to have a relationship. Now, that really impacted me because I found it hard to give my heart to those people because I was looking for a long-term relationship so I can feel more intimacy, so I can go deeper. If you're already in a relationship with somebody who's avoidant, you're looking for those avoidant cues, maybe when they walk away or have a lot of self-reliant tendencies and think that's healthy. And that awareness helps you identify ththose triggers you're feeling. So let's move on to step number 2. And that is emotional regulation. This one is huge and this one takes time, but it's also a really, really important step. As an anxious attachment, it's so dysregulating when the relationship or when the connection is threatened, right? Because anxious attachment folks have learned to regulate through connection. At its core, anxious attachment is when your system never really learned to regulate on its own. So it looks for safety in other people. But in real life, even in those good situations where the partner is secure, the reality is that not everybody's going to be always there for you when you need them. And that's not because they're bad people. They're just probably not available. In those moments, you got to figure out how to regulate yourself and take accountability of your anxiety. This is the hardest part because you never really learned to do that. And it's also the most beautiful part because you're learning to rely on yourself. It's your job to regulate yourself and figure out what helps you. For me, that was going on a walk, turning off my phone, very helpful. Just not looking at my phone to see if they're sent a message back, doing things I loved, and most importantly, reminding myself that I'm lovable, that I'm okay, and that no matter what's happening for the other person, maybe I did something that turned them off, or maybe I made a mistake, or maybe I just totally didn't. Whatever it is, it's going to be okay, and I'm still really lovable and worthy, right? So you speak to that part of you that's activated and doesn't remember the reality. Emotional regulation is going to be a really important tool and something you'll be so happy to have with you for the rest of your life, because you know you got you no matter what happens. Okay, so let's move on to step number 3. Number 3 is recognizing your needs and healing your relationships with your needs. So, recognizing that you need reassurance and not judging yourself for it. You know, a lot of people have been told that their needs are too much or they're needy. You know, living in an individualistic culture where being self-reliant, being dependent is more respectable than being interdependent, having to depend on others, right? So we have to heal that, because that's human nature, to depend on each other, to need each other. Literally, our systems regulate with another nervous system. So it's completely human to need people. A lot of the times, we only become aware of our needs when we're triggered. Let your triggers be your guide and really learn from them. So if you're getting triggered, ask yourself, what is the unmet need here? And then asking for what you need. Asking in a way that isn't demanding or commanding or playing small, or feeling like it's too much. Now, for some of you that recognize more of commanding, demanding energy, I want you to remember that connection, you're not entitled to it. People give you connection because they want to, right? So ask for your needs in a not entitled or in a small way, but in a way that's soft. Because that same need turns into a sweet, courageous act of invitation of connection that's enticing for the right person. Okay, so let's move on to step number 4. Step number 4 is actually about learning to accept the avoidant behavior or the avoidant person in front of you. To have true compassion for them by understanding them. They're not the villain. They're not somebody who's trying to make you feel bad or is trying to reject you, deny you for your attention. They're someone who's shaped by their past. And it's actually quite lonely to avoid connection. So even though it might look like they're fine, they're moving on, they don't really need anybody, the truth is they're not experiencing deep intimacy, because the truth is, being in love with somebody, having love in your life is quite a vulnerable experience. It can be really hard to love somebody because you never have guaranteed that they're going to be around. It's about acknowledging that they're not bad. They're just in patterns that are unhealthy as well. When you stop demonizing these avoidant behaviors and people, it becomes easier to have boundaries, right? Because you can say something like, I like you, I have feelings for you, you're even a good person, but you're not available for what I want, which is to go deep. If you're in a relationship with an avoidant person, you can say something like, I understand why you're behaving this way because you've learned to do so, but I still need connection. Their behavior is valid and makes sense, but it doesn't negate your need for connection. You're coming into this conversation in a regulated way. And being regulated means you're serious, you're talking business, and it makes the other person take you more seriously. So let's go over those 4 things that I discussed. Number 1 is finding a person who isn't avoidant, or if you're already in a relationship with the avoidant person, that is to understand and become aware of their avoidant tendencies and behaviors. Okay. Number 2 is self-regulating, learning, regulating tools, learning to validate the part of you that might be anxious, that might be thinking they're not lovable, giving yourself the love that you're not receiving right now. Number 3 is to understand about your needs and to heal your relationship with your needs and ask for your needs in a way that feels inviting. Number 4 is accepting the avoidant partner or the avoidant tendencies and behaviors that you're seeing in front of you and understanding them, not making them wrong, not making them bad, but to understand them, to have compassion for them, because that way you can create boundaries or ask for what you need in a regulated way. All right, so if this resonated with you, I have a lot more content on relationships, attachment styles, and intimacy coming up. So you can subscribe to my channel and follow along if you want to go deeper into this work, into this topic. Can't wait to see you again.